Hello, welcome. It's Friday is Writing Day. Karen, why don't you take us away? Tell us about the Writing Center.
Okay, well, I'm Karen Washer and I work in the library and I talk to a lot of students doing research. And one of the things that gets talked about, of course, is the Writing Center. And I had this idea that it would be a good idea to talk to some Writing Center people because some students are a little bit confused about what they will and won't do, how it works. And I thought having a session where we talk to Writing Center people and interview them, talk to them about what they do um, and what they see was a good idea. So
Absolutely.
we have David Elder, who's the head of the Writing Center, with us, and hopefully, technology allowing, we will have some other, at least one other person. But can you tell us a little bit how the Writing Center got started, David?
Oh, how it got started. Well, it existed for a while before I was hired, but I think 11 years ago when I started at Morningside was the first time that there was an official director of the Writing Center. And it's part of the Academic Support Center, but it's quite different from other academic tutoring because when you're working on math with students, you can work with sort of a group at a time, but writing is necessarily more one-on-one. And so it's kind of separate. And we have some student workers, some staff workers, and me. And so that's kind of the gist of the Writing Center.
Okay. And this year, of course, it's all online, right?
Yeah, this year is definitely different. We very much like to meet with students one-on-one because it's often the interaction between the writing consultant and the student that creates some good dialogue about writing. Uh, but with social distancing rules and things like that, everything's online. And in the spring, when we emergency went online, not many people used the Writing Center, but this fall, we are definitely back up to normal traffic. And so we are seeing lots and lots of papers. So bear with us. We're new to this too. So we are a little bit behind right now, but we are commenting on papers online and sending them back that way.
Has it having to do everything online? Has it changed the the amount of time per paper, or what has
Well,
it changed?
yes and no. So one of the things we are sort of lucky in that we have been kind of preparing for this for a long time because we have the graduate writing centers online. And so we understand how the process works. We've had the structure in place for quite a long time now. The difference would be that usually there's a set time for workers to be in the library, in the writing center working. But right now, because everything's online, there's no set schedule. And so sometimes if we kind of get caught up in our other duties for our jobs and being students and our lives, we might sort of forget a little bit about the Writing Center, which I know is not okay, but it's just pandemic life. And so we are turning them around as quickly, but it seems like because we're not meeting with anyone in person and there's just more of that backlog of papers on the online writing center site that it's a little tougher to get to them in a timely manner.
Um, so most tell us. I mean, obviously, people submit their papers to you. What will you? I guess maybe what won't you do? What do people ask for sometimes that the most often that you don't do?
Okay, so this is a great question because first of all, it is important that you ask us to do something. It's important that you ask us to look for specific things. We want you to tell us what you want us to look for. But I think there is sometimes a bit of a misconception that you turn your paper into the writing center and everything will just get fixed for you. And we are not a free copy editing service. However much people would like us to just copy edit their papers, we are here to teach you how to become better writers. And fixing it for you doesn't teach you anything. So while you might want us just to make APA better, that's not something that we're going to do. We will teach you how to use it correctly, but we won't just do it for you.
Darn it.
I know, wouldn't that be wonderful?
So what, I'm guessing you see more freshman papers, or do you see more senior papers? What kind of papers do you see the most?
Well, first, can we invite Steph into the fray here? Steph, it's so good to see you. You're muted, so we can't hear you.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I finally figured it out. You should start early in case you have problems. And I thought, oh, I know how to do that.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about the things that we often see in the writing center. And I'd say one of the things we see is that we work with papers, dang it. We aren't tech people.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard you saying, about like the magic fix and copy editor, and that's what a lot of my comments end up having, pointed out a couple times. And then going forward, look for this type error, and yeah. I have a handout, David, I've been working on too, though.
Oh.
I'm categorizing stuff
Yes.
because grammar, punctuation, fanboy commas, introductory commas, comma splice. I mean, it's all, I say the same thing. Just like when we talk face to face, it's always, I reassure students that all the time. What beginning writers, what we are talking about is common for beginning writers. And I do feel I've sent a few students an email saying, please don't be overwhelmed by the amount of comments, because it takes so much more with the written word to write it out than just visiting face to face,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Karen just asked the question, do we mostly see freshman papers? And at this time of year, I feel like we do, because a lot of professors, especially CIC professors, are requiring students to send their papers to the writing center. And that's something that we don't discourage that. We ask that maybe not all the professors do it in the same week, but we do like it when the first year students use the writing center, because it exposes them to what we can help them with early. And oftentimes we see them return to the writing center on their own because they can understand what we can help them with.
Okay. So we were talking about, you're not going to do magically fix APA or citations for them. Is that something that you see? Because I've talked to some students come out of high school with experience with citation, and some of them have no idea.
The biggest problem I see is that almost every student learns MLA in high school. And the majority of the majors that we have in college require APA. And so they think they're doing it right, and they are if it's MLA. But they need to learn that new citation style if they're going into education or psychology or business. I mean, those are three of the biggest majors on campus, and none of those students will use MLA in any of their major writing. So that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, but
For them.
right.
Okay. Why do you guys help me out?
Sure. Well, what do you think, what's something that you wish students knew before they walked in? Like what's your best kind of questions that you get from students, or what's a way of saying what a person wants out of the writing center that really tells you a lot about what they're interested in looking for?
Well, I wish they knew how to write perfectly.
Then you'd be out of a job. Yeah.
That's something that Steph and I we've said often, is that if it wasn't for freshmen, we would pretty much be working our way out of a job, because we're hoping that by the time they get to seniors, they wouldn't need our help anymore. The whole point of the writing center is to help them enough that they don't need to use us anymore. But that never happens. I mean, I've taken my own writing to the writing center. So you're never a perfect writer. To me, the biggest thing I wish students would know is that there is just no shame whatsoever in bringing your paper to the writing center. There's some sense of it being remedial or embarrassing that you need help. And that's just not the case. We love working with students on their writing, and so we just hope they bring their writing in, and in a normal year, I mean, one of the best parts about the job is just getting to talk to all these students who are trying to become better scholars, better writers, better people. And those relationships that you make with students are so fun. It's a little harder during a pandemic. Just like everything else is a little harder during a pandemic, but we seriously, genuinely love helping people get better at being writers. And so that's the main thing I wish people would know, is that we're not going to shame them if their writing is quote bad, or even if it's quote good. We just want to see writers and help them become better. What do you think, Steph?
I agree so much. Yes, yes. And I know a lot of them, they're so nervous and they didn't know what it'd be like. But I've developed some good rapport over these. I've worked in the writing center since 2006, and I've worked with many students, and I'll tell you, seeing the growth, seeing their growth over that 4-year period is just amazing. And yeah, that's all I can say is that I do see growth. I do see people really, oh, and now that Steph told me that, so it's just, and it's rewarding too. Yes. So yes, I love it. I love my job. This is tougher.
Yeah.
Like I said, and I'm used to it because of the online, because of the online graduate papers that I've done. So I've got a little bit of experience, well, quite a bit of experience with that. But I prefer the face-to-face. I really do. I like building that relationship.
Well, it's the whole reason we do it, right? I mean, sure, we like writing, but we're
Yeah,
here
we do.
well, I think we are as frustrated with writing, if not more, than other people.
That's what I like to tell them too, as students. It's hard to chain thoughts on paper in a logical, organized, flowing manner. It's work. It just doesn't come. Some single, like 1 in 100,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 people might be, just whip something out and it's good. But no, it's work.
And I think that that's important for students to recognize, that even we admit writing is hard. Like, I love writing, but writing hates me, it really is something that I think modeling the behavior is some of the most rewarding parts about the job, because you do. Is that your cat?
Yes.
Oh, the world we live in right now, right?
He's going away now.
Yeah, but just showing the students that we understand that it's tough,
Mhm.
that it takes time, and that it isn't easy. I think just having them hear that can be important sometimes.
You have to, I know, I mean, like, people have math phobias, sort of, but I hear some students kind of have phobias about big papers or things like that. So is part of what you do is kind of helping them get past some of that?
Yeah, giving them some sense of comfortability definitely is part of the job.
Mhm.
Um, because it can be scary, especially the first time you write a paper in college. And so one of the things I do in my classes is I have my students, I take my name off of it, but I have my students read and critique a paper that I wrote freshman year of college. And it's terrible. Um, it's about legalizing marijuana, not because I was a huge pot smoker. I just thought it made economic sense. But it's really not good at all. And we rip it to shreds together. And then I tell them, maybe you should be a little bit more sensitive about the things you're saying about this paper because the author is in the room. um and then we talk about, though, that it's possible to get better at writing. I mean, that was a crappy paper and I now have a PhD in writing. So I think some sense of vulnerability about showing your own growth as a writer can help students become a little bit more willing to share their writing.
I agree too, because for one, in about ninth grade, I shut down on the English rules because like there was all these rules and then these exceptions to the rules. I shut down and I didn't learn anything hardly at all. Okay, I went to college. I was horrible. I took a grammar class. I didn't learn nothing at Morningside. Okay, I took one at USD. Didn't really help. I took one. I got to sit in on one free one at USD. Didn't really help. Not until I started teaching, and I was terrified because I was doing a fundamentals of English and comp, and but I studied, and I just studied the textbook. I used the internet, and I tell people, if you study and if you really want to know this, I'm living proof that you can get these rules. And now, I mean, I'm a way better writer because of having to explain to others how to handle sentences, grammar, punctuation, blah blah blah. So I always share that because people just I didn't it just some people, they just get it. Other people don't. You have to work at it.
And this is why I tell the students in my classes that peer review is so important. I know a lot of students are resistant to peer review, but one of the best ways you can get better at writing is trying to help someone else with their writing. It helps you internalize the processes of revision and editing in a way that you wouldn't get if you're just trying to work on your own papers.
And they get so scared on the peer reviews. Oh, I don't know, and then because they're not a very good writer themselves. Blah, blah, blah. I said, but you're a thinker. You're a thinker. You're just think what you're reading process. You anybody can do it because you think. And then they kind of ease up a little. Oh,
Well, most of them think.
yeah. Some days
I
my
miss
think.
chatting with you, Steph. I know that's not the point
I
of what we're
know.
doing
I
today,
miss
but
being
I
there.
miss just sitting down in the writing center with you. We're getting off track. I'm sorry. But
You have a warm environment. The writing center, I miss that because it is warm.
it is. Well,
Yeah.
except that one seat where the vent always
Oh yeah.
blows all the. That's not warm, but it's funny because you know exactly the chair I'm thinking of.
I am because I always sit close underneath that so the vent blows out to all the other people. Okay, more questions?
Yes. Sorry. Back on
One
track.
for me.
Hey,
So
David, look, come say hi to my. Okay, Bob just walked in. He was going to try to stay out, but he just had to come in.
Bye, Bob.
He said hello. Bye. Here to the camera.
Sorry, Karen. We're going off the rails. Steph and I haven't seen each other in a long time.
I do have one more practical question. So
Uh-huh.
I'm a first year student and I don't know how to get my paper to the writing center this year. Could you show us how you do that or walk us through the process?
Yeah, so usually there would be a link to sign up for an appointment on GenBook, and then you would do that, or you could just walk into the Writing Center. This year, it's a little different. There is a Moodle page that you submit your papers to. It has all the rules on it for how to submit everything. So to get to that page, there is an enrollment code and a link. And the best way you can find that is to just go to your email and search for David Elder, because I have sent the link out multiple times to all the students. If you are having trouble finding that, email me, elderd, ELDERD, at morningside.edu, and I can get you the information. But it has been emailed to you multiple times this semester how to do that. So once you sign into the Moodle course, you upload your paper, and what?
In Word document, please, no PDFs.
Word document, not PDF, please. Yes. So you upload your paper. When one of the Writing Center consultants has started working on your paper, we will give it a grade of 0. Now, there is nothing at all about grades. We're just working within the system that Moodle gives us. So a grade of 0 on your paper means it has been downloaded and it's being worked on by a consultant. Then when your paper is done, it will be given a grade of 1, and you will get an email directly from the consultant with your paper. Now, the paper will be a Word document. In Gmail, you can just click on it and see the paper. However, that will not let you see the comments. You have to download the paper to see the comments. So that's generally how the Writing Center is working this semester.
Cool. Yeah, please.
So you talked about how it varies for when you get a paper back. So do you give like a general timeline of like when I would expect the paper back? Like would it be a couple days or like a week?
Elizabeth, you're going to have to repeat that
I'll
question.
translate that question. Sorry, my microphones are not. So the question was, can you give kind of a general timeline of if I submit a paper, what kind of timing could I expect of when to get the paper back? How early do I need to submit my paper so that I make sure I get your comments back in time for the deadline? Just generally speaking.
Well, we have on the website, it says, please allow 3 to 5 business days for a paper being returned. We try our hardest to get it back to you before that, but we don't have consultants working on the weekends. So if you submit it on a Friday, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it back on a Monday. So you need to definitely plan in advance when you're going to submit that paper. Like for instance, not this week, because oh my God, it's Friday. Like the previous week, all of a sudden we just had 50 papers uploaded in 1 week. And that's a lot. That's more than we could handle if we did in-person appointments. We don't have 50 time slots probably open. And so we were completely swamped. And so we do our best to get it back within 3 to 5 business days. And but I think that there's also maybe some leeway with that, depending on how swamped we are with papers.
That's fair. Did I answer your question? Anybody else? Any other questions? Got a question for the Writing Center?
I was going to say, we're talking about where to find the Writing Center.
Mm-hmm.
On the library homepage under departments, we do link to the Writing Center.
Okay.
So, and that has the current information, the COVID information on it as well.
Stop it.
So that does that. So
That's right. So it's off the library homepage. So library.morningside.edu, and then departments,
Yep.
and then writing center.
Yep.
That'll get you there too.
So, David, you get a lot of questions about annotated bibs.
We don't get a lot of questions about annotated bibs.
You stop it.
I wonder. Everybody hates them.
What a great exercise, though, in annotated bibliography. I see some head shaking in the room too. So
It is definitely every student's favorite assignment. You know,
obviously, yeah.
They immediately see the benefit of it, and they love it because
Sure.
If you had
students recognize the importance of an annotated bib. It's good.
It is. It helps you build a research paper.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. Anything else? Well, thank you. Thank you so much for meeting with us today. We really appreciate your time.
Well, I didn't expect to yell at people about an annotated bibliography, but I also didn't not expect to yell at people about an annotated bibliography. So that's where we're at.
that sounds like we were kind of at the end then.
There you go. Well, nice to see you, Stephanie, too. So any last thoughts you want to leave people with, Steph?
I try if I realize that we're going to not meet deadlines. And sometimes, in the rules, it says, please let us know the due date and the assignment criteria and a rubric if you can. And oftentimes we don't get anything but the paper. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know a due date. But if I know a due date and I realize we're not going to make that, I will either email the professor or I email the students. And like with some of the nursing students, I've just emailed them directly because we've had a lot of lit reviews coming in on that. But I try to keep contact with the student or the professor so they don't just feel like lost, like where's my paper. I want to keep contact so they know if we're swamped and we're running on a tight line.
Yeah, Steph, that's really helpful. And I'll say I'm speaking only for myself as Professor Elizabeth Cootie. This is only Elizabeth Cootie, but I will give people extensions if I get that message that they're waiting on the writing center, because I want to give people the benefit of your work.
Yes.
So if they're trying and they've got a paper in and it's just because of the mechanics of the writing center that week that it's not getting to them, I give them more time to work on it. So.
Right. I appreciate that because I worked, I think, with 3 of your students with their papers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
We appreciate that communication. So thank you for that.
Yes. Good deal. Yep.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody.
It's great
It's good to see you, Steph.
Yeah. My cat, he can't believe people are actually talking out of this computer.
I love it.
Yeah, he's sneaking around the side now, trying to chew the cord. It's like, okay, I'm checking out.
All right. Thank
you,
Karen and Elizabeth. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, thanks.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.